Get your hand in there.
Guess which classic TV show we're featuring tonight?
We better get out of here because Frankie and Bea are on the way.
And don't forget the freak. Where are they now? The newsmakers, the superstars and survivors, the celebrities and the accidentally famous. They were household names back then. Where are they now? Tonight, the cast from Prisoner are back in the clink.
Wonder how these footy gladiators are doing now? We've got them together again.
Remember this little cutie from a country practice? She was Molly's baby Chloe back then. Where is she now?
We're catching up with the 7-year-old hero who saved his father's life after a quad bike accident. Ever met a mother who drove her family around in a psychedelic school bus? You will soon. She's our mystery guest. It's one of the most famous moments in Australian television, one that strikes fear into people ironing everywhere. The day that Queen Bee Smith welcomed a fresh new inmate to the Wentworth Detention Centre.
Put the garment on the pad like this. Make sure you haven't got any wrinkles, right? And you bring the press down with a bang. Right, now you do it.
Here, use this. Thanks.
That's right. Now rub your hand over it. Make sure you haven't got any wrinkles.
Those ladies were tough, all right. Well, the toughest on the telly, and audiences around the world wouldn't have had it any other way. The show was Prisoner, and tonight, some of the inmates and the guards are back, so watch what you say.
Oh, I'm really nervous. Please welcome the stars of Wentworth Detention Centre, Amanda Muggleton. Peter Tepano. Carol Burns. Val Lehman. And Maggie Kirkpatrick.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Val,
Thank you.
that steam press scene.
Silly, I didn't
nasty.
do it in stiletto heels. Silly girl.
It made it easier on the foot pedal, I
I
found.
could have given you some lessons.
Did you have fun, though, playing such a tough character?
Oh, absolutely. You. What? Who wouldn't have fun? I was never wrong, always right, and totally invincible. Of course I had fun.
Oh, Bea was such a scary character, though.
You're frightened of a weed,
oh,
eh?
absolutely. She was top dog of the prison. Now, when you walked out of Wentworth Detention as a real person, what was the reaction from the public? Were they
They were
just
pretty
as
much
scared?
frightened of me as well, I have to say. Although some of them could say, "Oh, you're not. Oh, you are. Oh." And then they sort of kept poking me on the side, and I just have to say, sometimes I have to say, "I really wouldn't do that." And they go, "Oh," and suddenly remember. It saved my bacon on one occasion, actually. So I was threatened by some young louts, and I actually was making a phone call, and they got on either side of me in the phone booth. They started banging on them, saying, "Oh, come on, you're pretty tough on screen. What do you like off screen?" And I was immediately a bit frightened and instantly very angry.
Oh.
And I just pushed the door open and walked up to the largest and most vocal of them and said, "Darling, sometimes I can be a whole lot tougher." And they just went, "Ah!" And they kept walking, I'm pleased to say.
I love it. That's fantastic. Let's try that. Maggie, tell us about you and playing your character, the Freak. I mean, was it intimidating to take on a character like that? Were you nervous in any way to take on that sort of role?
Desperately nervous. I was so frightened and so nervous on my first day because I hadn't done a lot of television up to that point. It had all been in the theatre, that I was rigid with fear. absolutely rigid with fear, and that's where the menacing stillness came from. Until about 6 months later, when I got a little more confident with the role and I started playing tough, and my head was wobbling all over the place until the man who directed my first episode said, "You're getting too cocky, keep your head still." So ever after, I would go into a studio and say to a new director, "Mind the head, mind the head." And they would come down to the floor. They would speak down to the floor and say, "The head, Maggie, the head." Because I would say, "Yeah, you think you're so smart." Yeah. Whereas before it'd be, "No, we'll see about that."
Well, Carol, you played Frankie Doyle, now a lesbian bikie, an illiterate lesbian bikie with a huge chip on her shoulder.
Typecast again.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't want to miss any of the fun details out. How did you research her?
You just look at everyone in the world because everybody has that little fascinating detail that you can pinch. Nobody, I think, ever plays one character that they find in real life. I think it's always the thing where you take composites from different places. And I was coming down from Cairns on the train, and there were these two children sitting together opposite me, and the one brother kept pushing the other one and saying, "Piss off, go on, piss off." And I thought, that sounds a bit like an illiterate bikie. And then I found the laugh, too, through somebody else who went,
Takes you right back.
Frankie Doyle didn't last that long in the show, but boy, did she have an impact, particularly when Frankie went bananas. Let's have a look.
Frankie, get up.
It must be the surname, because I put up with that after every sunrise.
I'm justified, though. No?
But then Frankie fell in love with Karen Travers.
Karen Travers, yes.
Was it difficult, though, to play the role where you were in love with each other, the whole unrequited love?
Yes, it was difficult because I'd always been cast as somebody's pretty wife, somebody's nice girlfriend, somebody's nice something or other. And they insisted that there was no makeup in this show because of the lighting and so forth. I was constantly being dragged out of the loo with an eyelash curler in my hand or trying to do my cheeks, just trying to tart myself up. And they keep saying, "Wash it off." And it was like, it was a huge issue that I didn't like appearing without makeup, but I kind of got used to it.
Amanda, did the public get confused with your character, between you and your character?
Yes, they did. I had some amazingly funny things happen to me. I'll never forget one day I was walking down Swanson Street with all my Christmas shopping. And you know, when you've got lots and lots of bags, you can't keep it near your knees because it keeps bumping your legs. So I was sort of like this, and I thought, that's funny, there's two policemen coming towards me. And as they got to me, they both separated, and one arm went there and one arm went there. And they literally lifted me off the ground with my legs doing this and all the shopping saying, "Latham, what are you doing outside?" Oh, it was hysterical.
But tell me how Chrissy managed to get pregnant in an all-female prison.
Well, obviously, something was slipped between the bars.
But not only here, around the world, we forget that even though Prisoner was huge here, it then took off around the world as, what was it called? Prisoner Cell Block H.
Oh, but way before England, it had a viewing audience of 39 million in prime time in America.
Outer Mongolia.
No, in America.
I went over to the States after my character had been killed off, and they had a wake. The lesbian community of Los Angeles held a wake for Frankie Doyle. And there was a parade down the street with a coffin, sort of R.I.P. Frankie, to a big disco where I experienced my first mosh pit. I didn't enter into the mosh pit.
Wow.
And to this day, I get fan letters.
It was just fantastic. Well, thank you all so very much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Please thank the cast of Prisoner. And we've got one more treat for Prisoner fans. The Prisoner theme song, On the Inside, was a worldwide hit. So to take us to the break, please welcome composer Alan Caswell and singer Lynn Hamilton with On the Inside.